I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing out how I found out my wife, Amanda, was cheating on me. We had a decent life, 2 kids, a nice house on the outskirts of town, and a pretty solid financial plan that we'd been working on for years. I always thought we were in it together, building towards something secure and steady. But looking back, there were signs I just refused to see. She'd get snippy for no reason, stay out longer than she claimed, or suddenly be busy at work when I'd try to plan a weekend getaway. I told myself it was just work stress or her being bitchy about the kids, but deep down, I figured something else was going on. It all started to crack open a few weeks ago when I noticed a strange charge on our joint investment account. I was checking our statements like I did every month, just routine, and there it was. A hotel charge, a pretty hefty one, made in a city about 80 miles away. That was weird because Amanda told me she was working late on a Thursday. She'd been acting different lately, more hostile, dismissive, and suddenly obsessed with her phone. I caught her sneaking it into the bathroom once, which I usually wouldn't care about, but the way she looked at me then, guilty, defensive, made my stomach churn. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I kept quiet and watched her. She started lying about where she was going, saying she had some work thing or a dinner with colleagues, but I knew better. I had to find out more. So I started digging, going through bank statements more thoroughly, checking her phone when she wasn't looking. That's when I saw the messages. Nothing explicit at first, just flirty, overly familiar exchanges with someone named David, the so-called financial advisor we'd been using to get our retirement on track. I'd met him once or twice, seemed like a decent guy, professional, kind of charming. But reading those texts, I realized they'd been talking for months, and it was more than just about stocks and bonds. The hotel charges, the late-night texts, her secrecy, they all pointed to one thing: Amanda was having an affair. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My first instinct was anger. I wanted to scream, to break something, but instead I just sat there numb. How did I not see this coming? How long had she been lying to me? It's like everything I believed in about our relationship was a lie. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly a little scared. I started questioning everything I thought I knew about her, about us. Was this just a fling or something more? And what the hell was I supposed to do now? I don't know how long I sat there staring at the phone, trying to process what I just uncovered. My mind was racing in a million directions. The betrayal wasn't just about her cheating. It was the way she lied about everything, the sneaking around, the way she'd been so bitchy lately. And now I was faced with the reality that I'd been blind, or maybe just too comfortable to see what was right in front of me. I decided I had to confront her. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. So I waited until she came home that night, trying to keep my cool, but my stomach was twisting like a damn tornado. She walked in, threw her purse on the table, and gave me that look, defensive, annoyed, like I was bothering her. I looked her right in the eyes and said, "Amanda, I need to talk now." She rolled her eyes and snapped, "What the hell is your problem? I was just at that stupid book club with Lisa. What's this about?" I took a deep breath. "Don't lie to me. I saw the charges on the account, the hotel in the city where you said you were at work, and I found your messages with David, the one I've met. That's right, I looked through your phone." Her face changed instantly. The bitchy mask fell, replaced with a glare that could cut glass. "Oh, so now you're spying on me. Wow, really mature. Maybe if you spent less time snooping around, you'd actually be a better husband." I felt a rage boiling up, but I kept my voice steady. "Stop lying, I know everything. You've been sleeping with David, haven't you? I saw the texts, the hotel charges, the late nights. How long has this been going on?" She scoffed and crossed her arms. "You're overreacting as usual. David's just a colleague, someone I've been talking to about investment stuff. You're such a jealous idiot. Maybe if you paid attention to your own damn work, I wouldn't have to look elsewhere for some excitement." That hit a nerve. I felt my fists clench, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Don't give me that crap. You're lying. I know you're sleeping with him, and I want to know how long this has been going on." She sneered at me like she was above it all. "Go to hell, Mark. I don't owe you any explanations. I do what I want. Maybe you're the one who's boring, huh? Maybe I got tired of your little stupid routines and your pathetic job." David's a real man who can give me what you can't anymore. That was it. My stomach turned to ice. She was calling me boring, unmanly, and somehow that made me feel even more humiliated. I was furious, hurt, and just about ready to explode. But I knew this wasn't the time for yelling. I had to think. I told her to leave the room so I could process what she just said. I wanted to scream, cry, or punch something, but I didn't. Instead, I sat there staring at the wall, feeling like my entire world was collapsing. What hurt the most was the look in her eyes, so cold, so dismissive, as if I was nothing. I'd given her everything, and she just threw it all away for some guy who's helping her plan her retirement. That's what really broke me. I'd trusted her, believed in us, and now it felt like she'd been planning her escape behind my back. I didn't sleep that night, not really, just lay awake trying to figure out what the hell I'd do next. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been run over by a truck. My mind was racing, replaying the confrontation over and over. Every word, every look Amanda gave me, nothing felt real anymore. I kept asking myself how I missed all of this, how I missed the signs. I'd been so wrapped up in work, in the kids, in making everything perfect that I hadn't paid enough attention. Now I was paying the price. I knew I had to decide what to do. Part of me wanted to blow everything up, confront her again, scream, break her stuff. But I also knew I needed a clear head, so I sat in silence, staring at the coffee cup on the table, trying to figure out the best move. I decided I'd follow her that day, see where she went, who she met, what she was really up to. I wasn't just going to sit around and wait for her to come home and lie again. That afternoon, I followed her. I didn't want to get caught, so I kept my distance, but I stayed close enough to see her head to that same city hotel. I parked far enough away that I could watch without her noticing. She went inside alone, carrying her purse, looking nervous but also determined. I didn't go inside, but I didn't need to. It was confirmation enough. She was sneaking around, lying to me again, and clearly this wasn't just about the money or some stupid investment. She was fucking David, plain and simple. I felt my stomach twist again, this time with anger and the sinking realization that I'd been played for a fool. How long had she been at this? Was it just a few months or longer? And what kind of person lied so easily, so effortlessly? I stayed there watching her go in and out, feeling my hands tighten into fists. It was like I'd been punched in the face all over again. When she finally came out, I decided I couldn't just keep following her. I needed to face her head on. So I drove back home, trying to keep the rage under control. I knew I had to confront her again, this time with everything out in the open. I wanted answers, but also wanted to see what her reaction would be, whether she'd finally admit the truth or keep lying the way she always did. That night she came home late again, looking exhausted but annoyed to see me waiting. I didn't bother hiding my anger anymore. I told her I knew everything. I told her I followed her, seen her check into that hotel alone, and I wanted the truth. Her eyes flashed with that same dismissive attitude she'd had the night before. She told me I was overreacting, that I was just paranoid, that I was being crazy. But I could see her sweat, her nervous glances. She was lying again. I pushed her, pressing her hard. How long has this been going on? How many times have you seen David? Are you sleeping with him? She snapped back at me, voice full of venom. You think I owe you an explanation? I do what I want. If you don't like it, too bad. Maybe I'm not the perfect wife you think I am. Maybe I don't want this boring life anymore. That last part cut deep. I'd always thought we had a good thing going, that she loved me. But now I saw how hollow that was. I felt like I was drowning, betrayed and humiliated. I never thought I'd be in this position, questioning everything about my marriage and about the woman I thought I knew. But I also knew I couldn't keep pretending. Not anymore. The truth was out and I had to face it, whether I was ready or not. That night, sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, heard her voice, remembered the way she dismissed me like I was nothing. My mind kept circling back to the hotel, to those texts, and to the lies she kept telling. I felt a deep, burning rage mixed with a crushing sadness. I'd given her everything, my time, my trust, my love, and she threw it all away for some guy who helped her cheat on me. The thought made me sick. In the middle of the night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to keep pretending everything was okay. I couldn't live with her lies anymore. I needed a plan, something cold, calculated, but also fair. I didn't want to see her walk all over me, not anymore. I wanted to make her feel the pain of betrayal, to see what it was like to be left with nothing. The next morning, I started working on my plan. I knew I had to be smart, no rushing, no emotional outbursts. I needed leverage, so I started digging into her phone, her emails, even her social media accounts. I wanted to find any dirt I could, something I could use if she decided to escalate things or try to deny everything. She was a sneaky woman, but I was a former detective, and I knew how to cover my tracks. While she was out that day, probably meeting David again, I took the opportunity to go through her stuff. I found receipts for hotel stays, restaurant bills, even a few gift cards she'd bought for herself. I wanted to know everything she was planning, every lie, every secret. I also contacted a private investigator I'd known from my days in law enforcement. I didn't tell her, didn't want her to suspect I was onto her. I just wanted to be prepared. When she finally came home that evening, she acted like nothing had changed, like she wasn't hiding something. But I could see the nervous flicker in her eyes. I decided it was time for the real conversation. I sat her down, looked her in the eyes, and said I knew about everything: the hotel, the texts, the meetings. I told her I had proof and that I was done playing the fool. Her reaction was classic. She got defensive, started lying again, telling me I was paranoid, that I was imagining things, that she loved me. But I didn't believe her. I was past caring about her excuses. I told her I had already contacted a lawyer, that I was considering separating, maybe even divorce. She tried to plead, to beg, but I just cut her off. I told her I wasn't interested in her apologies or her bullshit anymore. I wanted the truth, and I wanted her out of my life if she was going to keep lying. The look in her eyes was pure fury and contempt. She spat at me, said I was overreacting, that I was just jealous, but I knew better. I knew she'd been cheating on me for months, maybe longer, and this was just the tip of the iceberg. I had made up my mind. I wasn't going to let her ruin everything I'd worked so hard for. I was going to make her pay somehow. Not with violence, but with the cold, calculated revenge I'd been planning. She'd see what it was like to lose everything, just like I almost was. Over the next few days, I threw myself into action. I didn't want her to see how much she'd shaken me, but I made damn sure she felt I was serious. I contacted a lawyer, got my divorce papers ready, and arranged for a private investigator to gather even more evidence. I also started monitoring her financial activities more closely, knowing she might try to cover her tracks or make some kind of move to protect herself. Meanwhile, Amanda kept up her act, acting innocent, claiming I was crazy, accusing me of losing my mind. She tried to manipulate the situation, saying I was jealous, insecure, that I was reading too much into her innocent meetings with David. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I had enough proof, enough lies to see through her bullshit. I could feel the anger boiling inside me, but I also knew I had to stay calm, strategic. This was war, and I wasn't going to lose because of some petty emotional outburst. One evening, I decided to confront her directly, but differently this time. I told her I knew about her affair, that I had enough, and that I was planning to take action. Her face twisted, and she snapped back at me, calling me paranoid, jealous, and crazy. That was her usual response: deny, lie, escalate. But I was done playing games. I told her I was prepared to expose her, to take everything she cared about, her reputation, her marriage, her finances, and make her regret ever crossing the line. That night, she stormed out, probably to meet David again. I stayed up, waiting for her to return, knowing this was the last night of the old me. I had already prepared everything, guarded my bank accounts, contacted my lawyer, and made sure all evidence was in order. When she finally came home around midnight, she looked exhausted but defiant. She tried to act like everything was normal, but I just looked at her and said, "It's over. I know everything. I'm done." She screamed at me, calling me names, accusing me of trying to ruin her life, but I didn't care. I told her I had proof of her betrayal, that I had made arrangements to leave, and that she better start packing. Her face paled, and for a moment I saw a flicker of panic. Good. That's what she deserved. Watching her try to deny it all was almost satisfying, but I knew the worst was yet to come. I was ready to finally take control of my life, to make her feel the pain she'd inflicted on me, in a way that would leave her broken, just like I felt. I never thought I'd become this kind of man, but after everything, I knew I couldn't let her get away with it. Not this time. I was going to make sure she knew exactly what she lost, and that she'd regret betraying me in the worst way. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming my dignity, my future, and my peace of mind. After she left that night, I felt a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. Part of me was glad I finally took control, that I refused to be the victim anymore. The other part was hollow, mourning the loss of what I thought we had, the life, the trust, the future. I knew I'd never forget this betrayal, and I knew it would stay with me forever, a scar I'd carry. But I also knew I had to move forward for my own sake. In the weeks that followed, I finalized the divorce. It was messy, of course. Amanda did everything she could to spin it her way, crying and throwing tantrums to sway the judge. But I had the evidence, and I was determined to get out of this with what dignity I could muster. I started therapy, trying to piece myself back together, to understand how someone I loved and trusted could do this to me. It was a long, painful process, but I knew I had no choice. Looking back, I realize I learned some harsh lessons. Trust isn't something you can take for granted, and sometimes, even the people closest to you can betray you in ways you never expected. I also learned that revenge, when done right, isn't about hurting someone else. It's about reclaiming your power. Amanda's betrayal woke me up to how fragile everything can be if you don't stay vigilant. I became more cautious, more aware of the signs I'd ignored for too long. I don't harbor hatred or anger anymore, at least not like I used to. I realize now that holding onto those feelings only eats you alive. Instead, I focus on rebuilding myself, on becoming stronger and wiser. The pain is still there, but I refuse to let it define me. I've started dating again cautiously, and I'm learning to trust again slowly. This whole ordeal has made me realize that sometimes the biggest act of self-respect is walking away and starting over, even when it feels like your world is crashing down. That's what I want anyone reading this to take away. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, to face the truth, even if it's ugly. Because only then can you truly heal and move on. And trust me, life goes on better, stronger, and finally yours again.